This is Secret America.
Welcome, everybody. I am Jack Danger along with Jay Gatling, and we're doing this episode today because we want to this is going to be the last. We've talked about the moon landings before, the space stuff before, and this is going to be our last one until they, do the moon mission in 2028. The whole Artemis is apparently going to go land on the moon in 2028. So, and the thing though, Jay, we're going to play it was going to be a lot longer, but I cut it down. We're going to play a 20-minute video that I want everybody to see. And all I can see is Jay's hand at the moment. I'm kidding. No, but we're going to play a 20-minute video that we want everybody to see. And what it does, and Jay hasn't even seen this video yet. And what it does is it shows basically what I believe, and I have verified everything in this video. Now, in terms of whether you believe one thing or the other, you can make up that on your own mind. But what I have verified is that none of the videos and none of the photos in this video have been doctored in any way. I looked at the video, I paused it, I made sure I checked the original photos, original video, everything in there is 100% the way it is in this video. This is a family documentary, so you'll see it's actually kind of funny. You'll see a little goldfish with a tinfoil hat on. I think it's kind of funny because it's a family documentary, But so yeah, we're just going to play the 20-minute thing. But first, once everybody gets in here, I want to put up a poll and see how many people believe the moon landing was real before we play this video, and then how many people believe it's real after we play this video. And you can make up your own mind, like I said. And this, for Jay, what I don't understand is the people that believe in the moon landing, first of all, most of them are 50 or older. They're the people that either saw it when they were kids, or it happened right after they were born, or happened, maybe it happened a few years before they were born, and their parents rave about it all the time. Okay? That's most of the audience that believes in it. And it has a lot to do with the fact that back then, as opposed to now, everybody trusted in their government, trusted in these institutions. It was a very innocent time in America. And it was actually the perfect time to pull off hoaxes like this. You saw how all the CIA's best programs, MK Ultra, the Project Artichoke, all these things happened back in the 60s because it was the easiest time to manipulate narrative, Jay. And it is what it is. People can get mad, they get rabid. The people that believe in it are so rabid. The funny thing for me is, if it's the truth, I would think it's easily defensible. There's no reason to get pissed off and angry. If it's the truth, then it should be able to hold up to basic critical questions. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I think that, people that believe in it, I think it is part of, and I'm not saying whether I believe it or not.
No, it's part of who they are.
It's part of, like you said, how they were brought up, what they
Exactly.
were taught in school, not only by their parents, but taught in school. And the way I look at it now is, if you're not skeptical of things your government tells you now after the past 10 years, then you're never going to be. You should be skeptical of the things the government tells you. You should question things, legitimate questions, plausible questions, not just crackpot stuff, but stuff that actually is a legitimate concern. That's viable, and that's something you should do, especially, like I said, after the past 10 years, especially the past 6 years with COVID. If
100.
that didn't get it to you, forget about all the stuff that they did with President Trump through the Russia thing and all the lies we were told, the 51 intelligence agencies, Hunter's laptop, all that stuff. That's political. The COVID stuff was political. It was political, but it was more than that. The COVID stuff was just blatant lies about just, to humanity.
And the moon landing was 100% political.
No, it was. The moon landing was political because it was a space race. It was a race for superiority between the Soviet Union mainly and the United States.
In the Soviet Union, Jay, most people may not know this. The Soviet Union was ahead of the U.S. by years back during the space race. They had the first person in space. They sent the first object in space, the Sputnik satellite. They had the first woman in space, the first animal in space. They had the first animals that went up in space and actually came back and survived. They were ahead of the U.S. by years. Then all of a sudden, the U.S. jumps in front of them and does the one thing nobody could do. And by the way, the one thing nobody has done since. No other country in the world's history has ever landed on the moon, Jay.
Yeah, no, that's a reason for skepticism. Absolutely. Why would nobody else want to be? Why wouldn't somebody want to be second? I mean,
don't think
nobody
they
likes being
could.
second, but why would nobody want to say we did it too? We also did what the United States did. It's strange for, countries just don't, like Russia and, Soviet Union at the time, don't just give up. China wasn't China then. What China, it wasn't then what it is now. It wasn't. But you would think that China over the past, I don't know, 20 years would have tried. I don't know if they are trying.
Someone would have tried to put a colony on the moon. Russia said, okay, you guys landed on the moon. We're going to go put a freaking colony on the moon. There's no way these countries would allow the U.S. to have the only country flag on the moon. I'm sorry.
It is, yeah, that is a question, and again, that's a legitimate question or a legitimate angle to come at it from if you don't believe it. So yeah, I mean, listen, I think, Jack, there are a way for these polls to be put where there's a not sure, a 3. Can you put a sure, a yes, a no, and a not sure?
But, it's kind of
see if you can, because I think a not sure is also a viable position to take.
All right, we're going to go ahead and do this now. Okay, do you believe the poll is going to say do you believe the moon landing was real? Okay, or we're going to say, do you believe the moon landing was real?
Remember, there was
I'm going to clarify it. I'm going to say, do you believe the first moon landing was real? How about that? Do you believe the first moon landing was real? Because that's the one that is really, the most questionable. Honestly, if the first moon landing wasn't real, the rest are not real either. Not within that short span of time. So the first one is the one that we need to talk about the most. Okay,
is that what the video focuses on? Does the video focus on all of them or just the first one?
It focuses on, I believe it focuses on all of them, but don't quote me on that, because the 20-minute, I took out a lot just to play a 20-minute snip of the video. So that way, because there's, like I said, it's a family documentary. There's a lot of filler in it. So I wanted to take out, it might have taken out some of that stuff. But the bottom line is whatever is in the video, I have verified as not having been altered in any way.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So
here you go, guys.
Put 3 choices, I think, and that'll be fair.
Yep. Here we go. Let's try this poll out right here. Okay. Do you believe the first moon landing was real? In the chat, type 1 for yes, 2 for no, and 3 for not sure. Okay, let's get it going. Let's see what everybody thinks. I want to see. I'm interested to see what people think beforehand, and then what they think after the video. I mean, I think, to me, that would be the most interesting part of all of this. And go ahead.
No, I'm saying, if you could, I guess, leave it up there, that poll, the whole time, so people can maybe do it the entire show as they.
Well, no, because it's a before and after thing. I want to show the differences.
All right, so yeah, we'll give it a minute, but and again, it's early for us. This is 10 o'clock in the morning. We're usually on about what about?
Oh no, it's not 10 o'clock in the morning. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. We're live.
Well, that's true. We're live, yeah, but yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So this is interesting. Oh, and our good friend Max Associates is here, by the way. And when this poll is over, actually, forget, while the poll's going, we'll let it go for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we are sponsored by Max Associates, and they are excellent. We've told you this, the last few days. maxassociates.etsy.com. In fact, I am going to put up right there. There's the QR code. You can scan that QR code and go straight to their site. They have all the best patriotic apparel and USA Pride gifts. And again, like I've said every day, Jay and I shop there. We would not put anything out that we wouldn't do ourselves. No. And we shop here because they have the best gifts, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And we won't get sponsored or push anything that we don't believe in. And we believe in this site. It's a great site. Let me tell you something. The prices on that site, absolutely incredible. I mean, you get 20% off for anything over $20 plus free shipping. You're not going to beat that. Trust me. No. I used to run a t-shirt company, and that is a fantastic deal. Really good deal. You're not going to do better than that, especially in these days.
No, and the thing, what I like the most, even more than all that, is the fact that the stuff that they have is not shit that you can find everywhere else. All the other stuff says, like, USA, I love America, yada, yada. But they have the great stuff, like stuff that says Americans over illegals. I love that. I love that. And I bought the flag that says, support the country you live in or live in the country you support. And that's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's easy to put stuff out that just says, yeah, USA #1, go USA. No, I like the specific stuff because that tells me where you really stand.
Exactly.
And that's the stuff I'm talking about right there.
Exactly. All right, guys. So we are going to go ahead and take down the poll for now. For now, nobody said yes. Anybody that's watched the show, we got 71% said no, 29% said not sure, and nobody has said yes at the moment. So honestly, after this video, unless other people come in that believed in it and didn't get to poll, I don't know if anybody. Now, what would be funny, Jay, is if we show this video and then people say yes, they do believe it after. Wouldn't that be funny?
You
know
know
what? If I'm somebody that's in the chat, I do that just to fuck with us.
No,
I put yes, I believe in it now, just to fun. Just
that'd
be
funny. Well, Stockmom, give a number, and if she thinks it's real. So Stockmom, put a number. Put number 1 if you think it's real.
Oh yeah, you got to put number 1 for yes, 2 for no, and 3 for not sure, because it automatically shows up in the poll when you put the numbers in the chat.
Yeah, that's how it would register. All right. Well, listen, let's get going. Let's check this out.
I want Stockmom to, if she actually thinks it's real, I want her to put a 1 in there, because I want to see the yes answer in there.
I'm going to tell. All right, here we go. Ready? I'm letting her know.
All right. Yeah, put the 1 in the chat, Stockmom. I want to see the yes answer, because right now we got 0% yeses, which I think is brilliant. It means most people are have their eyes wide open, at least, because there's no way you can think the moon landing was 100% real and be on the fence. You can't.
No, I'm on the fence. I'm 3. I'm not sure, and maybe this video will make me sure one way or the other. Let's see what happens.
Well, I guess Stockmom might be busy at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and just take the poll down. And again, at the end of the episode, or at the end of this video that I'm going to play, we are going to go ahead and do the poll one more time.
All right.
All right. So this is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what everybody thinks of this. Now, again, this is like a family documentary thing. And just so everybody knows, I thought it was made by PBS yesterday, but it says PDS, which I guess is the sponsor. It's called the Y-Files. And if you've seen it before, they've got 6 million subscribers on YouTube. And I don't care what you think of them. I verified everything that I'm about to show you, so I know it's real. And you can too. You can stop it. We're just going to be a replay afterwards. You can stop it live, actually. Verify and then hit play. Verify, then hit play. You'll see none of this stuff has been altered in any way.
All right.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's go ahead and enjoy the video. Let me go ahead and take the banner off real quick. I don't want that in the way.
Oh, and if you have questions, write down questions and put them in the chat after, because I might be writing down some questions.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be happy to try to answer any questions you have. I will say though, any questions you have, if you put it in Grok or AI, they are gonna come up with an official narrative answer. That's just the way they are, because their sources are official sources. So it's going to be the official narrative answer. So if you think you're going to get an answer from Grok that's going to give you, like a possible explanation, all it's going to say is, oh, NASA said this or NASA showed this. That's all it's going to do. So well,
you could also prompt Grok, Jack, if you want, say, give me alternative sources as well. Sometimes that'll help. Tell it to stay neutral. Give alternative sources, all sources, left, right, center.
And just so you know, it is wrong 35% of the time. So don't take the first answer as the correct answer.
Double check, triple check, do whatever you want.
All right, guys, let's take a listen to this.
They just start making stuff up. Yeah. Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows? Neil Armstrong? You mean the first man to walk on the moon? Talk about a fish story. Yeah. Man, and they're buying it. Oh, yeah.
And when Joe Rogan started questioning the moon landing, that exposed the theory to a huge new audience.
Joe who?
Joe Rogan.
By the way, I just want to say real quick, I love the fish with the tinfoil hat, making fun. I love that because, like I said, it's a family documentary. See where it says heckle fish?
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. Anyways, go ahead.
Comic, podcaster.
Between 1969 and 1972, they had seven attempts, 6 of them successful. That was the only time in history that a human being has been more than 400 miles above the Earth's surface.
Never heard of him.
400,000 people worked on the Apollo project. 600 million people watched the moon landing live. If this is a hoax, it's the greatest hoax in history. Bold claims require bold evidence. Is there evidence that the moon landing was faked? Lots of it.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question.
The motivation for faking the moon landings was driven by several factors. The United States was under tremendous pressure to get to the moon before the Soviets. The Soviet Union had already proven they were far ahead of the US in space technology.
The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. And it is one of the great adventures of all time. And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind.
The Soviet Union put the first man-made object in orbit with Sputnik 1 in 1957. They put the first animal in space when Laika the dog was launched with Sputnik 2. Laika didn't survive, but in 1960, the Soviets launched 2 dogs and a bunch of mice and rats that did return safely. The first human in space was Yuri Gagarin. Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman in space. The first multi-person crew, the first spacewalk, the first spacecraft to reach the moon, the first pictures of the far side of the moon, and even the first soft landing and transmission from the moon's surface. These were all Russian achievements. Meanwhile, America's attempts to catch up were not going well. Rumors started going around that the Russians were going to put nuclear weapons on the moon.
We have vowed that we shall not see space filled with weapons of mass destruction, but with instruments of knowledge.
So there was tremendous public pressure to get there first.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
On July 16th, 1969, Apollo 11 launched successfully. Four days later, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set foot on the moon.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In just a few years, the United States went from being years behind the Soviets in space exploration to eclipsing all of their achievements. To many people, this was just too good to be true. So skeptics started poring over photographs and film looking for evidence of a hoax. And the evidence was everywhere. The first clue of a hoax was that the astronauts seemed to be casting shadows in 2 different directions. But the sun is the only light source on the moon. On Earth, shadows run parallel. On the moon, not only did shadows go in different directions, but sometimes they were at right angles to each other. The only way to explain this is multiple light sources, like you'd get on a movie soundstage. Studio lights would also explain this shot. In a vacuum with only a single light source, the shadows on the moon should be absolutely, completely black. But there's a lot of film and photos where even though the astronauts are in shadow, they're lit extremely well. Now in the movies, the sun would be called a key light, which is your main light. And this light in the shadows would be from what's called a fill light. But there's no fill light on the moon, only a key light, the sun. There seems to be a Hollywood lighting technique happening here. Now, you're not going to find any direct evidence of studio lights in any pictures from the moon. NASA's too smart for that. But even in big budget movies, you can sometimes see the cameras and lights in reflections. Now look at this. In the reflection on the helmet, it looks like a neat row of movie lights. And look at the reflection on this photo.
What the heck is that?
That looks a lot like a studio light with the barn doors open. Now here's a photo that shows what looks like a movie prop. This rock is labeled with the letter C, but the crew forgot to remove the label when they started shooting. How about this picture of the landing module? Do those hills look like they're miles away? Or do they look like this was shot on a soundstage? And speaking of those hills, this photo was supposedly taken a few miles away from the landing module. Then how come the backgrounds are identical?
Because they use the same backdrop.
Now let's talk about stars. On Earth, even with our thick atmosphere, the sky looks like this. But on the moon, with no air, the sky is just black? Shouldn't the sky be full of stars? NASA really thought this one through. If you're going to hoax something in space, the stars are a big problem. This is because by using a star map, you can not only get the precise location a photo was taken, you can even get the precise day and time. So they had to get rid of the stars.
When you looked up at the sky, Could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
Small problem. They use stars to help them navigate to the moon.
The astronaut navigator finds a known star in the wide-angle telescope. Using a fingertip control, he changes the attitude of the spacecraft to bring the star into line. Once he has the star in position in the telescope, he moves the optical sextant. He lines the sextant up with the star and makes a reading.
So are there stars or not? Which is it? There's a lot of evidence stacking up that doesn't look good for NASA or the moon landing. And we're just warming up.
NASA and the government faked the moon landing was basically, it was technically impossible to do it. And they simply had to come up with some sort of alternative that they felt the public would believe.
I believe, had they wanted to, that NASA could indeed have pulled off the greatest hoax of all time, never sent anyone to the moon, and recreated it in a television studio.
Can you realize that that you and I, that all of us, have actually begun the exploration of another world?
The United States Geological Survey decided to build a model of one part of the lunar surface in an area accessible to present research centers.
4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Reflections of studio lights, accidental movie props, repeating backdrops. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that the moon landing wasn't filmed on the moon, but on a soundstage. The lunar module engine puts out 3,000 pounds of thrust, and the lunar surface is covered with dust that was described as fine powder. If that's true, why did the engine leave no mark on the surface? And shouldn't there be dust everywhere? Even the foot pads are clean and shiny. So either the landing module was sitting there, or it was gently lowered down by a crane. And you'd have to lower the thing gently. Look at it. It looks like tinfoil and curtain rods held together by duct tape. More evidence that a crane was used is when the astronauts separate from the module and return to orbit for pickup. Look at this. The module separates and the astronauts gently lift back to orbit. And look how slowly it moves. Where's the rocket plume from the engine? What's allowing this to fly all the way to orbit? If you watch the footage closely, it looks like the object is wobbling a little on cables or wires. By the way, who shot this footage? There was no camera remote control, but somehow the scene is framed perfectly. They're zooming in and out. The camera tracks the object up into the sky, but conveniently loses the object when it gets too high. But the camera does pan around the surface. Who's working the camera? Now, speaking of cables and wires, look at this footage. Does this look natural? Or does it look like he's being lifted by wires?
Houston, Apollo 11, how do you read? Apollo 11, this is Houston. Go ahead.
Roger. Lem looks to be in pretty fine shape. About all we can see from here.
Okay, and reference to your question on this step 13 on the decal, I understand that you have used up the content of the repressed O2 package, and at that time, instead of being...
Then there's this footage of Neil and Buzz putting up the American flag. But if they were both on the moon's surface, who's shooting the footage? And how is the flag waving if there's no atmosphere on the moon? Now, sure, we've been told that there was an aluminum tube holding up the flag, but it seems to be moving around a lot. Now, here's a picture of what an Apollo astronaut spacesuit looked like. But look at the soles of the shoes. They don't look anything like the footprints the astronauts supposedly made in the lunar dust.
Real quick, I don't want to gloss over this fact. Most people don't know this. Look at the wires here, okay? Now, some of this is filler in between, but the point where they actually point the arrows, where they actually show the arrows, that's actual video. And I want you to see the glare that comes from lighting off of wires. This glare is unexplainable. Okay, now you can see the videos, where it looks like they use a green screen. That's just a filler showing you what it would look like. But the actual videos where they point the arrows, that is real.
Step 13 on the decal.
Look at that.
I understand that you have used up the content of the repressed O2 package.
Look right here. You see the glare at the bottom of the wire and then the top?
Then there's this footage of Neil and Buzz putting up the American flag. But if they were both on the moon's surface, who's shooting the footage? And how is the flag waving if there's no atmosphere on the moon? Now, sure, we've been told that there was an aluminum tube holding up the flag, but it seems to be moving around a lot. Now, here's a picture of what an Apollo astronaut spacesuit looked like. But look at the soles of the shoes. They don't look anything like the footprints the astronauts supposedly made in the lunar dust. And what about the heat? The surface temperature on the moon during the day is over 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That's as hot as an oven. The film inside their cameras should have melted. But there are thousands of pictures that all came out perfectly fine.
Well, fine, except for the whole wrong shadows, no stars, movie props, visible lights, and stuff being hoisted by cranes.
Right, except for that. And there are plenty of photos that are flat out doctored. If you remember our episode on NASA's Mars cover-up, we proved that the photos of Mars were altered before being released to the public. This is a technique perfected during Apollo. The Apollo handheld cameras had special crosshairs on them called Rousseau marks, and these were here to help make sure the photos were printed properly from the negatives and not distorted, and to make it easier to stitch photos together for panoramas. But in some of the photos, the crosshairs aren't there, or are only in part of the picture. In other photographs, objects appear in front of the crosshairs. Now that's physically impossible, unless the objects were added after the photo was taken, by layering them on top of empty backgrounds. And there are even more problems with the photography. Here's a picture of an Apollo astronaut saluting the American flag. But look at his feet. The shadows don't even reach them. It's like he was edited in later and somebody forgot to add a shadow. Now, even if we could explain all these anomalies in the photos, there's a big reason why nobody can get to the moon. A reason why human beings can't leave Earth at all, at least not yet. The reason is real and scientifically proven as fact. Radiation.
We see the ascent stage suddenly pop up without any exhaust plume whatsoever, as though it were jerked up by a cable.
Our research suggests that images of the Apollo landings are not a true and accurate record. In our view, the Apollo pictures were faked. Many of the images are replete with inconsistencies and anomalies.
There are problems with almost every aspect of the visual records, equipment, and technology used to supposedly put a man on the moon. But there's one even bigger problem we haven't dealt with yet. There's no way the astronauts could have even escaped Earth's orbit, much less gone to the moon and back. Radiation. In 1958, scientist James Van Allen discovered two enormous belts of high-energy radiation surrounding the planet. The Van Allen radiation belts are a pair of toroidal belts,
donut-shaped
belts of high-energy particles. Any object leaving the Earth's orbit to visit the moon or beyond has to pass through them, and they extend out about 37,000 miles from Earth. These two radiation belts have different compositions. The inner belt above the equator contains energetic particles that are charged up to 100 million electron volts. The outer belt is electron plasma from the sun's solar wind, and it has energies in the 10 million electron volt range. When it was first detected, the strength of the radiation was so powerful that scientists thought they had recorded a Soviet nuclear test. These high-energy particles can penetrate spacecraft, damage instruments, and are lethal to astronauts. But we have photos and even film of the Earth taken from much farther out. How could this be faked? Well, the astronauts never left low Earth orbit. From there, the Earth fills the entire window of the craft.
We only have one window that has a view of the Earth, and it's filled up with the TV camera. So your view now is probably better than ours is.
So to get this film of the Earth, they blocked out sections of the window. This film is an outtake. The astronauts didn't realize they were still rolling. They said the camera was pressed up against the window to get a good shot of the Earth, but that's not true. You can see someone pass in front of the window, then quickly jump out of the way. And here you see the dim work light that was used so they could operate the camera. We're not supposed to see this. We're also not supposed to see this. Someone adjusting the insert that controls the shape of the Earth. Now remember, they're in low Earth orbit, so the Earth is actually really bright and fills the whole window. How do we know? Because when they open up the iris of the lens, we can see it.
Holy sh**.
Yeah, we can't pass through the Van Allen belts yet. Don't take my word for it. Take NASA's.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
I guess we're still working on solving this issue? Because I thought we...
But we're also really pushing the boundaries in terms of where we're going forward with exploration. I think humans are naturally driven to do this. And this is really the beginning, I think, of human beings leaving low Earth orbit. I certainly plan on being around to see that.
I don't want to be a jerk because she seems like a nice girl, but newsflash, the moon is way outside low Earth orbit.
The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. We only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
By the way, real quick, I'm going to pause that just for a second. Did you hear what he said? This is an astronaut, while he's, obviously in zero gravity or whatever it is. And he's saying, that hopefully we'll be able to go to the moon someday, once we get this done. And then the astronaut before that also said, hopefully I'm alive to see, us leave low Earth orbit. I mean, that's pretty compelling.
Once we travel beyond low Earth orbit, the crew will be exposed to larger amounts of radiation. So we have to design both the crew protection systems and our electronic systems to withstand this radiation.
But didn't we already design those protection systems for Apollo? Why don't we just use that technology?
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Wait, we destroyed the technology and we can't recreate it? So nobody wrote anything down? That seems irresponsible.
Oh, you mean irresponsible, like recording over the original moon landing tapes?
Yeah, NASA did that. There are no original high-quality moon landing tapes. They were erased and reused.
Allegedly.
The footage we see of the moon landing was taken in a very strange way. NASA took a video feed from the moon and projected it onto a screen. Then TV stations pointed their cameras at the screen. The stations wanted a direct feed, but NASA refused. That's why the moon landing footage is such a mess.
And again, right here, they said that they projected it on a screen. NASA projected this on the screen, and then all the news stations had to point their camera at this screen. And they said the news stations asked for the live feed, and NASA refused. You can't give a live feed if there isn't one.
Anyway, the best way to protect a fragile human body from Van Allen radiation is lead shielding. But even a thin layer of lead would have made the Saturn V rocket too heavy to get off the ground. The only protection they had was a thin sheet of aluminum. But aluminum melts at about 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. The electrons in the Van Allen belts have energies of millions of volts. Now, this would equate to a temperature of about 10 million degrees Kelvin. So how did NASA overcome this problem? They didn't. Instead, they called Hollywood.
Instead, they called Hollywood. Okay, that is the end of that. I wanted to show everybody that because it's very interesting. I want to say that, Jay, if you watch the whole video, I mean, you got to think, that's pretty compelling evidence, and all of that stuff is verified. You can look it up yourself.
The Van Allen belts are very compelling.
Yeah, it's amazing. What about the astronauts saying that we've never left low Earth orbit?
That's interesting too. I don't know. And the technology, we talked about this the other day, but people probably, if you weren't watching then, you're watching now. The thing that we destroyed the technology. Wait,
That
how?
makes no sense.
My follow-up would be, first of all, why would we do that? Or I said, how did we do that? And why did we do that? And like the guy said, did anybody write notes? I mean,
the things you would
that's
have to
bizarre.
believe to believe the moon landing is real or astronomical. Let me ask you, Jay, did you see the part of the video where you could see the glare coming off the wires?
I mean, if that's what they're saying that is, or, you know, maybe it is. Maybe
What
is
else?
glare.
Okay, let me ask you this.
The video
glare
footage
connects,
is awful.
No, hold on. The glare connects to the astronaut's back, okay? Then you
Right.
can also see the glare on the where it's connected, then the glare at the top. So tell me what other explanation there is for that.
Other than horrible video quality, there probably isn't one.
Well, you can't have a glare even with horrible video
I
quality.
mean, the video quality literally looks like it was taken underwater.
And you know why? Because they projected it on a screen. There was no live feed. Everybody thinks they watched it live. They did not watch it live. NASA projected it onto a screen, and the news agencies shot the screen. They asked for the live feed. NASA said no. But Jay, you can't give a live feed if there isn't one.
No, that's true too. If there isn't one, you can't give one. And my question would have been, why? What's your explanation for not giving a live feed? Why not? Is it classified stuff? Okay, well then give the live feed when you have stuff that you can show to everybody. I don't know. Where's the explanation for that? Was there ever an explanation given other than, no, we're just projecting it onto a screen and you got to, videotape it off the screen? Listen, the other thing that people, is interesting is this. We can't put ourselves back in that time frame, but that time frame, the rivalry between the Soviet Union and the United States was, I was alive enough to feel it in the mid 80s, and it was real. I mean, that was all there was. A lot of pressure. Look at the most realistic, I guess, way everybody can relate to it. Watch the Miracle on Ice hockey game in the 1980 Olympics. That is how that meant so much to our country, to beat the Soviet Union at their game, basically at a game they were superior and had pros playing. We had college kids. That is how strong that rivalry was. It rejuvenated this country, literally winning a hockey game, not getting to the moon. So think about, to win the space race. Look what a hockey game did as far as our feelings towards the Soviet Union, how we were superior. So you have to also figure that in, as to say, no, we said we're going to do this. We have to do it, or we got to say we did it one way or another.
Yeah, no, that's their big thing. But see, the thing is that, like I said before, the video, Russia was ahead. The Soviet Union was ahead of the United States by years in space exploration, supposedly. They had all these different things that went up. And by the way, so people know, going into space does not mean, going up to where it's black. You can be in low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is still space. So when you see they say, oh, first man in space, they're talking about low Earth orbit. First of all, nobody had been outside the Van Allen belts at that point. So they had everything was first in space for Russia. This was during the height of the Cold War. We're talking the Cuban Missile Crisis in the early 60s. We're talking the height of the Cold War, where there was massive amounts of pressure on the United States. Congressmen were even pissed off that Russia was beating them in every possible way in the space race. John F. Kennedy painted us into a corner when he said we will land on the moon by the end of the decade. And just a sidebar, he said decade, which was weird to me. He said we will land by the end of the decade. I'm like, what? But yeah, so it'll land on the moon by the end of the decade. He painted us into a corner with that. And with all the mounting pressure we had to do. Imagine if the United States had not been first on the moon. The United States may not be the superpower that it is today. We would have been inferior to the Soviet Union in the world's eyes, everybody's eyes. And perception matters, especially with your foreign policy.
No, absolutely. Right. I was just going to say that the perception, the credibility, it does matter. Say, wow, okay, they really are better. They really are superior. And I also found it interesting when he said they want to put nuclear weapons on the moon. We're not going to allow that. We're going to take a different direction. That was also kind of a moral high ground kind of approach to take to it.
And it created more urgency that they had to get to the moon first.
Yeah.
Just more pressure on them. That's all it was. More pressure.
Yeah, I mean the nuclear race, the Cold War, I mean that was real. So you throw that into it, and that really ramps up the emotion, ramps up the we have to win, we have to do it. And again, I wasn't alive during that time, but I could just imagine the feeling you would get as an American saying yes, rah rah. You have to patriotic. You're being patriotic, and everybo's behind this, and it's amazing. I mean, think
It
about
was
it.
the
Going to
ultimate
moon.
achievement.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it where people, why but in the beginning of the show you said why people are so adamant, the ones who firmly believe it, and that's a big reason why. And that's understandable. But you have to look at this stuff and I think at least question seriously what went on here. Again, and I'll say it again, I said in the beginning of the show, if you can't at least question the narrative after 10 years of what we've seen our government do, the lies we know of that they've told us, then I don't know. I don't know what's going to convince you to at least question narratives from the government.
Jay,
I'm not saying that everything's fake, but you have to question narratives.
I want to show you this again, okay? I want to show you the wire part again. I want you to see this because it doesn't happen in just one particular video, okay? I want you to watch this one more time, just the wire part, and I want you to see exactly what I'm talking about here. Let me move this. I want you to check this out right here, okay? Let's check it out.
Does this look natural?
No.
Or does it look like he's being lifted by wires?
Watch the actual wires. You'll see them. Not here. This is at least I don't think. I don't know. But let me show you what I'm talking about from the actual footage.
To be in pretty fine shape. About all we can see from here.
Okay, and
right here. That's real footage. Look at that. Can you not see the wire going all the way down?
I mean, that looks like a wire to me.
That
I
is
don't know.
actual footage.
Everybody could decide for themselves. If that's actual footage, those look like wires to me.
That is real footage. Now keep going. What?
reference to your question on this.
Right there. Did you see the glare off the thing that's connected to him, the wire?
Yeah.
Look.
Step 13 on the
Right there.
decal.
And you see how it glared above it too, showing you that that's a full wire?
I understand that you have used up the content of the repressed O2 package, and at that time...
Look at this, right there, and then look above it, right there.
Then there's this.
That is compelling to me. I mean, that's compelling evidence that there were wires being worn.
It doesn't look good.
I'm saying. I don't see how anybody could see this evidence. And again, you can verify it all yourself. Go ahead. None of this stuff was doctored. I don't see how anybody could see this evidence and say, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to question it. We landed on the moon. I'm going to tell you why. And we've already discussed this. It's because they need to believe it. The people that were either there or were born right after and their parents kept telling them about it all the time, they have to believe it because otherwise they are admitting that part of their childhood, part of who they are and their life was a lie. They're admitting that their government lied to them, that this entire huge mass man achievement was a lie. And that is hard for a lot of people to swallow.
Yeah, it's a hit to the psyche, 100%. It's a direct hit to your psyche. It absolutely is. So, of course, things like that are hard to let go. I mean, I'm actually very glad I never came to a conclusion about any of this or really paid much attention to it as I grew up. I always said, oh, cool. I loved astronomy. I loved like the planets. I loved like all that stuff. Who doesn't? It's interesting stuff. But I never was like a big moon person, like, oh, we went to the moon. It just never was. So I'm glad that I can kind of look at this through a neutral lens and kind of take this in and say, yeah, that doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all when you see stuff like this. And when you hear people talk today, they destroy technology.
Yeah, I mean, come on. They destroyed technology and the original tapes.
It doesn't make sense.
What
I mean, if it's
are they talking about?
And listen, one of my sayings that I go by, and it's usually true, is if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. I mean, so a lot of it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Change that. If it doesn't make sense, it's not a dollar. Yeah, the dollar is the truth. If it doesn't make sense, it's not a dollar.
Yeah, it doesn't add up to a dollar. I mean,
there you go.
You know,
if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up to. I like that. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up to a dollar. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very, you know, that I found. Oh, and the no direct feed. So I wrote down the no direct feed, destroyed the technology,
destroy the original tapes, or recorded over them.
This right. Well, they're basically saying now that the people were saying now that in those clips that they can't leave the Earth's orbit. They can't leave that orbit.
Even the astronauts themselves, while they were in space, said we cannot leave low Earth orbit. We cannot get past the Van Allen belts. One day we'd like to go to the moon and Mars and see the asteroids. They said that.
Yeah, and another interesting thing I wrote down is that when one of the astronauts from today, or maybe it was a doctor or scientist, whatever, he said the shielding will be put to the test. Wait, what do you mean? I thought we already had it put to the test.
Exactly.
Now, you don't need, I mean, you're telling me you destroyed all the technology on shielding too? Wait a minute.
Why would you destroy any technology?
That's what I'm saying. That's very interesting to me, saying the shielding needed to get through the Van Allen belts will be put to the test.
Ridiculous. Jay, remember that video I showed you where they were breaking apart and that thing went straight up into space? And it was funny. It looked hilariously fake.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show you this part one more time with them, but I want you to take even a closer look. First of all, there's no thrusters that make this thing continue to go up into space. There's no thrusters, no smoke, no fire, no plume, nothing. Then you can see, Jay, and I want you to pay close attention to this, everybody. You can see as it goes up, it looks like it's being lifted on a wire, but then it starts to wobble a little bit like it's on a wire. I want you to pay close attention to this, Jay. Pay close attention to this, everybody. I'm going to bring it up close so everybody can see. Watch. It looks like it's being brought up on a wire, and you're going to have to watch closely because you'll be able to see it wobble a little bit.
If you watch the footage closely, it looks like the object is wobbling a little on cables or wires.
Right there.
By the way, who shot this
back
footage?
and forth, right and left?
It actually did it like right off the jump. I thought it wobbled a little too. And
Isn't that
also,
crazy?
why is
Let's
this
take a look
footage
again.
why is that footage so clear?
Yeah, it's pretty damn clear, isn't it? Let's take a look again real quick.
Look at it. It looks like tinfoil and curtain rods held together by duct tape.
By the way, that's hilarious because that's exactly what it looks like. How could people think that could make it to the moon?
More evidence that a crane was used is when the astronauts separate from the...
Yeah, right. You said right off the bat, it looks like it's wobbling already.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Once it gets up to the space, though, you can tell by the glare that it's being moved. Watch.
Module and return to orbit for pickup.
Yeah, there's a wobble
Look at
right
this.
there. Yeah. And then watch it wobble to the right.
The module
right here,
separates and the
back to the
astronauts
left.
gently lift back to orbit.
And look how it goes straight up like a crane is lifting. It doesn't move any other direction. Straight up.
That footage, it looks like something out of a 1950s sci-fi movie. It really does.
And by the way, right before this was made, 2001 Space Odyssey was shot. Before this was made.
Stanley Kubrick.
Right before it was made.
Listen, that thing, we showed that on our show a couple of times, that liftoff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, it does look ridiculous. Like I said, it looks like it was a 1950 sci-fi movie, that you see on, it's just, and it's weird. Like that's it. That got them back home.
It makes no sense
What's
whatsoever.
Jack? Hold on. So they're saying that, right now that Orion spacecraft, the one that they're in, is moving at 25,000 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm, supposedly.
Okay? Supposedly. This thing was moving at what, 10 miles an hour off?
And it had no rockets or thrust or anything. So how would it be going upward?
I don't know, and I'm sure the official explanation is going to be some kind of gravity off the sand, off the moon
there's
dust.
always an
off the
explanation,
I
yeah.
get it. But listen, my skepticism is at peak. It really is. I never really looked into this stuff. I've said it a million times. In case you've never watched us before, my biggest thing was, why did we never go back after 1972? How do we just leave this alone and we just don't want to do it. We don't have the money. Wait, all of a sudden we don't have the money. We're worried about money now.
and that's my point. I think, and this is my personal opinion, and I think it's been since the beginning of time, or the beginning of its creation, NASA is actually just a giant money laundering operation. Take a look at the toilet for the Artemis thing. $23 million for a toilet that easily broke, by the way, but it's $23 million. You're telling me someone wouldn't build that toilet for 50 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand, 23 million? Do you realize how much money $23 million is? It takes that much to build a space toilet.
I'm curious about that. I want an itemized list of the parts and why it costs $23 million. Is there different special kind of metal?
Thank you, Raina.
I mean, is there some special metal that we don't know about that has to go into this toilet because it's in a spaceship?
Ridiculous.
I'd like to know this stuff. Can that be explained? It's our money, by the way. So I'd like to know why it takes $23 million just to build the toilet on the
What about the
spaceship.
explanation for the stars? Now, this was the best. Like, people say, hey, there's no stars in there, you know, and they always have an explanation for that. But the real explanation is 10 times better. Take a listen one more time to the explanation of the stars.
Because they use the same backdrop.
Now let's talk about stars. On Earth, even with our thick atmosphere, the sky looks like this. But on the moon, with no air, the sky is just black? Shouldn't the sky be full of stars? NASA really thought this one through. If you're going to hoax something in space, the stars are a big problem. This is because by using a star map, you can not only get the precise location a photo was taken, you can even get the precise day and time.
Bingo. That's it right there. You can get the precise day and time and location that it was taken, because if there's photos with stars in the backgrounds, you'll be able to see the constellations. You'll be able to tell which way the camera was pointed, what time of day it was, even where they are in position to the Earth. So they had to remove the stars. There was no other option but to remove the stars.
Yeah, because people that know about that stuff would have been examining it with a fine-tooth comb. So better that there's no stars than ones in there to prove that anything was wrong or you know, not true. So yeah, I get that.
I like this. He said they probably used the $700 screwdriver to install the toilet. I like that.
Well, Jack, here's what we'll do. To be fair, all right, I asked while this was going on, I asked Grok about the shadows, because people bring the shadows up all the time. And I say, here's how I phrase the question. What is the explanation for shadows on the moon in different directions? Keep it simple and use all sources, left, right, center, and
let's hear what
alternative.
Grok has to say.
That's what. Well, this is what Grok had to say. The shadows on the moon that appear to point in different directions, often discussed in the Apollo mission photos, have a straightforward explanation rooted in basic optics, geometry, and the moon's environment. I see what I say. Environment, not okay. Here's a simple breakdown. The sun is the primary light source on the moon, 93 million miles away.
Primary.
It's
primary?
the only. What other light source is there?
But they say primary.
Yeah. Is there another light source that I'm not aware about?
Interesting right there.
Is there another light source on the moon?
There's no other light source. No, the stars aren't even up there. So
okay, so the sun is the primary light source. So rays hit the surface essentially parallel to each other. Shadows cast by objects, rocks, astronauts, lander are therefore parallel in 3D space.
Yes.
However, in 2D photos, they often look like they're diverging, converging, or pointing differently. This happens for a few reasons.
Makes no sense.
Well, it says perspective, like railroad tracks that look like they meet in the distance, parallel line, uneven terrain, reflected light. Okay, here's the alternative and conspiracy views. So you guys can grok it. Put it in just like I did. What is the explanation for shadows on the moon in different directions? Keep it simple. Use all sources, left, right, center, and alternative. You could do it yourself.
All right, look at this, Jay. This right here, these shadows are running perpendicular to each other. Even if it's a 2D photograph, that shadow from the rock going left would be going forward, looking like it's going up, not to the left.
Yeah, is there a photographer in the audience that could verify? Like, you've taken people that have do this for a living? I mean,
with one light source, shadows do not run perpendicular to each other. Even if there's optics, even if there's this, there's that, they don't run perpendicular to each other with one light source. Even if that's a 2D photograph, let's say it's a 2D photograph, so you couldn't see the 3D, the shadow would be going up, not to the left. If it's parallel, it would be looking like it's going up. This shadow is not going up.
All right, so can shadows?
There's no reason to ask Grok. We know what.
Listen, I'm going to try. We use it, and I reopened it. I went off of that thread.
Yeah, but Grok. I mean, they've got a narrative explanation for everything.
I'm just going to see what their thing is. Perpendicular to each other
with one light source.
Let's see what Grok says. Only on the moon. Let's see what they. No, I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't that be funny?
That would be funny. Let's see what it says. No. Ready, yeah. Jack? Okay.
Ask the question and then say it out loud.
Okay. Can shadows run perpendicular to each other with one light source? That's what I typed in.
Go ahead.
It says no. Shadows from a single light source cannot run perpendicular at 90 degrees to each other.
Wait.
In the typical
sense.
He
said no. I'm gonna let you read the rest of it. But he said no. Grok said, now if we would have asked it, can shadows on the moon? Grok would be like, oh, hell yeah, they can. But since he didn't ask the moon, Grok says no, tells the truth. Go ahead.
Well, it says, all right, so it says no, shadows from a single light source cannot run perpendicular to each other in the typical sense. It says parallel rays, distant light source. Example, the sun. Light rays arrive essentially parallel because the source is very far away. All shadows cast by objects on a flat surface point in the same direction, directly away from the light source. They remain parallel to one another or appear to converge only due to perspective, like railroad tracks. They cannot cross at right angles or any other angle that contradicts the single direction of the incoming rays.
We've only got a few minutes left, but I just want to stop you right there. He said it cannot perpendicular right angles. This is a right angle, 90-degree right angle. You see that? That's a 90-degree right angle. That's not possible under any circumstances, okay? Because like I said, even though they have an excuse with a 2D photograph, the shadow would be going up. It would look like it's going up because in 2D you can't see forward, so it would be going up, not to the left. Real quick, Jason, since we've only got a few minutes left, I want to put out the poll again. I want to ask the question again, everybody. Anybody that's in the chat, I'm going to say, after watching this video, what do you think? I'm going to say, after seeing the evidence we presented, do you believe the moon landing was real or fake? And I'm not going to put not sure this time.
No, you got to put not sure.
All right. That's gay.
You got to be consistent. Got to be consistent.
Landing. Do you believe the moon landing? Do you believe? See, I can't. It only lets you do so many characters. So let's do it like this. After the evidence, do you believe the moon landing as real or fake? All right. I'm going to put, do you believe in the moon landing, or do you see, how about that? Do you see the moon landing as real or fake? So I'm putting after the evidence we presented, do you see the moon landing as real or fake? Here we go. All right. So the first option 1 is going to be real, and option 2 is going to be fake. Okay, and then for Jay, we'll put a not sure option on number 3.
You have to put it. You has to be.
All right, here we go, everybody. Real quick, go ahead and do your polls. Let's see. 1 is real, 2 is fake, and 3 is not sure. So after seeing the evidence presented, let us know what you think. Put 1, 2, or 3 into the chats, and let's see, what everybody thinks. I'm interested to see what everybody thinks. And it looks like we got Jay to a no. Before the video, he put not sure. We got him all the way to a no, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God we got him to a no. And it's true. It's fake. I mean, it's obvious. And I love it. Anybody that still thinks it's real after the evidence presented, there's nothing that could convince you otherwise then. Even if Neil Armstrong were to come out and say we faked the moon landing, you would say he's being forced or being coerced into doing that. There is nothing. If what we just presented, if you still see the moon landing as fake or is real, there is nothing we can do to show you. Like I said, even if Neil Armstrong had a signed affidavit, said, hey, the moon landing's fake, you'd be like, he's being coerced. Somebody's threatening him. So, it is what it is.
I think Neil's gone. I think Neil's passed on. Buzz
Even
Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin then.
He's
Buzz
still alive.
Aldrin.
Yeah. I think I'm going to get when Neil, I thought it was recently when Neil Armstrong passed away. Let me look just to make sure. Yeah, he died in 2012. He died a while ago. He was 82.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Neil Armstrong.
All right. Well, yeah. So that's we got to go in just a minute. So I'm going to take down the poll, but right now it's at 100% fake after seeing the evidence. So, and honestly, I think that's what it would be regardless. So if anybody,
listen, it looks like Max Associates has flipped as well.
Yeah. He also said, no, it is fake. That's what I like to see. It is fake. All right, everybody. I want everybody to make sure that you guys visit maxassociates.etsy.com. I'm telling you, it's the best place for patriotic apparel and USA Pride gifts. There's no place better. In fact, you can just scan the QR code at the top right there. It'll take you right to the website. It is one of the best, if not the best, actually, website for USA Pride gifts and patriotic apparel. Because, Jay, like we've said, we shop there, and it doesn't have the regular status quo BS that you can get at Walmart. It has the actual good things that people want.
Yeah, it has the actual, it says what we actually think. Not just, we know we love our country, but it tells you why we love the country.
Exactly.
It shows you, why you love this country and why we have to make sure we do certain things to make sure everybody loves the country and the country stays great. So yeah.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, make sure you follow us on X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Instagram. Screw TikTok. They banned us for telling the truth. So Secret America TV, X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Instagram, subscribe and follow. It would really help us out, you know, because we try to do this for you. You are the reason that we do this show. So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. And we hope you learned something here. I mean, we got Jay from a not sure to a no. So hopefully the rest of you will too. So thank you very much. For Jay Gatling, I am Jack Danger. Thank you for watching Secret America.
You've been listening to Secret America.